Hey guys, it's ANicWin, also known as Amy, and happy Monday. I hope you're having a lovely day. This is a little tiny funky cottage in Henford-on-Bagley. I feel like I've not built here in over a year. I don't know if it's actually been that long, but I want to say when we got cottage living, I went pretty hard, as we all did, and I may have returned once or twice after that that bender, and then I haven't really been back since. I haven't really been playing in this world either, so yeah, no, I want to say it's been over a year. I'll double check myself because who knows, but I was in the mood to build something really small. This isn't quite a tiny home, and I didn't set the lot type to a tiny home or anything like that. I think it's a tier 2 just because I have the 2 little porches or balcony things, because I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'm almost positive that's going to be about 4 tiles over the 32 tile limit. But see, I think that's so silly because that's not livable space. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I wanted to build something really small, and I wanted to kind of challenge myself to think about this as a space for a single sim and actually use a single bed and not try to use the Murphy bed. So, I mean, that wasn't that big of a challenge, but it's tempting when you're building a tiny home to reach for the tiny living furniture. And I don't think I did it at all. I tried not to. I could be lying. I don't want to lie, but I tried not to. I tried to use other things, and I think it worked out well. Now, it is worth noting that in my head, this is kind of like a little fairy cottage situation. There aren't fairies in The Sims, and I don't know, or at least in The Sims 4, and I don't know why, because I never played with fairy sims in The Sims 3 like at all, and I can't remember if they were in The Sims 2 to save my life. But I'm not an occult Sims player, but I think it's because we don't have them that I want them so badly. But I associate tiny cottage with fairies. I don't know. I got nothing for that, but that was the inspiration. That's what I was thinking. So you're gonna notice, or you may not, I don't know, but you'll notice that there's a lot of like plant themed things, a lot of wood themed. I tried to go kind of natural, kind of creative, and I don't know. This particular fairy is into pumpkins. She's got a little pumpkin garden in her yard, which you'll see. I left the landscaping for last. I started with the interior just because I knew what the interior was going to look like. I also knew there wasn't going to be a ton, like as far as, decoration and stuff to the interior, and I didn't want to save this for last. I would have rather do the landscaping, which I knew was going to be a little bit more interesting, a little bit more varied for the ending, so you're not like, well, okay, like, she's placing a bed, how cool. Not that anyone's thinking that, but I just knew. I knew where the intrigue was going to lie, and it wasn't going to be with the interior. So we started here. We started in the bedroom upstairs. I thought this was going to be the most difficult space to lay out just because it is a very long, narrow room. It's only 2 tiles wide, and I think it's 5 or 6 tiles long, deep. I don't know how you would say that. And I thought I was going to be able to fit a dresser. I quickly realized that was the stuff of dreams, and that wasn't going to happen. So we have a bedside table, some decorations, and then I placed this chair. I use the one from Island Living, and I give her the cross-stitching box, I think is the box, and then the other one's the knitting basket. Now, I think you have to pull the knitting basket into your Sims inventory to be able to use it, but the cross-stitching box, if my memory serves me correctly, can just sit on the floor. I have playtested the build from top to bottom. Everything is accessible except for that balcony on the 2nd floor, and I didn't intend to really make it accessible. However, that is the window that came with high school years that you can use as a door, so I think if you move the chair, like if you want access to that for some reason, if you move the chair, you should theoretically be able to get out there, but I didn't playtest it because I wasn't going to use it that way, so that is the only thing I left out. I also realized belatedly that there is no bookshelf at all on this lot, so you may want to add one. You may need one. I don't know. I always use mine when I play personally, so I would, if I use the slot, I would have to add one. But I know that you could get like a tablet, because I think you can read on tablets now, or maybe you've always been able to. I don't really play with the tablets or electronics a whole lot outside of like the computer, so that might be challenging. But I also think that you can use the little book stacks as a bookshelf, but I think you can keep that in your inventory. I could be lying to you. I could be wrong. I don't know. I haven't been dabbling with gameplay as much as I have in the past or typically do. I'm getting back into it. I was on a bit of a dry spell for a while there, but I go back and forth between gameplay and building, but I definitely do both. I'm just not in cast a whole lot. That's really the only aspect of The Sims I don't mess with. But I've talked basically through the bathroom. I think you can see a little bit more of the personality coming out here in the bathroom as well. I struggled really hard with the sink and the shower. You may have noticed me flipping back and forth between swatches, and that's because it really bothers me when the fixtures, like the faucets, don't match. I don't know how realistic that is, but I've never had a bathroom where the fixtures are not the same metal type. And I really wish that we could customize that. I wish in some instances that the Sims 2 or Sims 4 operated like the Sims 2 catalog, in the fact that, or in the sense that you could choose like the little details, like for instance with the bed, like in the Sims 2, you could pick the frame, and I'm struggling. You could pick the frame and then you could pick the bedspread. Stuff like that. Maybe not for every single item, but for things like plumbing, like I want to be able to pick what my finish is. It's the one thing that really just bothers me, and sometimes it sends me, and then I get in this rut of using the same things over and over again because they match. I know it's a first world problem, but it really does. It's one of those things that really triggers me sometimes. Now we're working on what is the living space, the kitchen, dining. Well, there's no dining space at all, but it's the kitchen living space. It's kind of a combination. Initially, I was going to have the kitchen wrap around there. I didn't like the placement with all of the windows, so I put it back in this corner, and I actually prefer it back here. It also feels more realistic because I'm thinking that in terms of like realism, the plumbing is probably all along that wall. So makes sense. The sinks are there, the shower's there, all of that stuff. Now I do change the countertops back to the cottage living countertops, these yellow and brown ones. For a brief moment here, I switched them out to the country kitchen ones to match the cabinets that I used at the top. I hate the white countertop. It wasn't doing it for me. So I do change it back, and I actually enjoy that, the juxtaposition of the darker cabinets against the against the yellow cabinets at the bottom. I like a two-tone situation. I don't really care if that matches, which is ironic because I was complaining about the plumbing finishings not matching, but you know, I'm fine with stuff like that just because it doesn't necessarily have to be the same set as long as it's a similar style. I don't know. I don't even make sense to myself half the time. Now, I did play test this kitchen. I almost said chicken. I think I did say chicken actually, but I did play test this. My sim actually prepped her food on the sink, so I don't know if the I don't know if the open cabinet works, or countertop, sorry, but she was able to make food, so I consider it a win. Hopefully you don't experience any issues. If you do, you may just need to delete the flour that's in the corner there. That's the only thing I was concerned about. I didn't overly clutter just because there's so much clutter on the cabinets that the cabinets that I chose to use at the top. The country kitchen kit and cottage living, both sets of kitchen cabinetry is really detailed, and I think that's why I use them so much. That and the parenthood. I like when you can see the clutter. I don't know anybody that has a kitchen that doesn't have stuff. You know, I don't know. I'm probably just not hanging out with people that are minimalist, but there you have it. So this is pretty much it for the interior. It's really simple because the sim in my head is a fairy sim, even though they're not. And yes, I know I've done the storyline before with a tiny home, and I think it was in Newcrest. There are all types of fairies in my defense, but because they're more into nature, I didn't worry about the interior being super welcoming. I just wanted it to be kind of cozy. I wanted it to be useful, and I wanted it to be a creative space, and I feel like I accomplished that. I did go back in and add curtains. I completely spaced and didn't add them. But that detail is there, worry not. And then we're gonna work on the exterior finally. Now, when I started to build, I knew immediately what I wanted the exterior to be. I had a vision. I love it when that happens, when you just know what something's going to look like. And it came together so easily once I figured out this pond situation. I haven't used terrain tools in a while, and I find it difficult to get a natural looking pond shape just because of the water. I don't really know how the water interacts with different depths yet. That's just from a lack of use. It's not like a game error or a system error. It's just me not having practice using the tools. So that's something I need to work on personally. But once I figured it out, because I just wanted a little small, kind of round-ish, but not perfectly round shape that took up a good portion of the lot, I got there. I do make some changes again because I realized that the second ramp on the right-hand side of that chicken coop is floating. I fixed that so that won't be floating. I also add some greenery around the pond off camera because my mods weren't updated and I was struggling a bit with tool and better build by, so I did what I could while filming, and then after I play tested I went and added more without filming it, just for ease of access, I suppose. But there's our little pumpkin patch. Now I didn't put the pumpkins all over the place just because I want you to be able to plant some just in case you're going to turn those into actual decorations, because you can turn the larger ones, I think, into decorations. All of them should be draggable. Like, you should be able to put them in your inventory and sell them or eat them or use them, whatever it is you want to do, and then you can plant more. So that was kind of why I didn't overload it with decor. I didn't want it to be a bunch of rotting pumpkins in your field. I also wanted you to be able to immediately jump into the gardening skill if that was something you wanted to do with gameplay and not have to worry about removing items that I placed. And as you can see, we're going real hard, like really hard with the cottage living debug menu. I think, this is just a personal opinion, but I think cottage living is the best expansion pack we've ever received with The Sims 4, and B, has the best debug menu of all of the games packs, aside from base game, because that's just untouchable. But it does. It has the best items. Now, it may just be because it's a style that I enjoy, so that's an objective opinion. You could disagree completely, and that's totally fine because it's a matter of taste. But we got more items with cottage living than high school years, which is just mind-blowing to me, considering high school years also introduced a whole new world and a whole new type of gameplay. So I don't really know what the standard difference there is, but there's a very palpable difference between the two in quality. And this is not going to be a high school years overview, but all I'm going to say is cottage living did it for me, and ever since cottage living came out, there has not been another pack that's really excited me as much as that one, or delivered as far as gameplay. And on that note, we're going to wrap it up here so you guys can hit the screenshots. Thank you so much for watching. As always, feel free to leave a like or a comment down below letting me know what you think. You can also subscribe if that's something that would spark joy for you. I will be posting the screenshots on Instagram if you want to hop over there and check those out. I know I've been a little bit behind on posting on Instagram and Twitter. I'm just transitioning back to office one day a week, which is not that crazy, but it keeps slipping my mind just because there are so many other components. So I'm getting better about that. So sorry if that's caused any sort of upset for anybody. In the meantime, I will see you on Monday with my next video, and I hope you guys have a lovely day and a lovely rest of your week. Bye, guys.
Drive the same roads every day. We both get there our own way. Thistle and an apple tree, how different two souls can be. But we both grow from the same sorrow. If we both know we'll be together can be like a tree in the wind. Same old roots, but I can bend, turning to understand and sway together. Now it's almost like